this is Lindy from Love Create Celebrate. Welcome back to our channel where we share all of our DIY and home renovations so that you can love, create, and celebrate your homes. Today is a super fun video. We are doing a furniture flip. We actually replaced the glass doors on an old cabinet with caning, and it looks amazing, but there were a few things we had to learn to get it exactly right. And now that we know what to do, we wanted to share it with you. If you have not subscribed to our channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on future DIY and home decor videos. All right, guys, this is our newest find. We got this guy off of Kijiji, Canada, and we are going to revamp it. We love the size and scale of it. We love this arched, kind of curved part here. Don't love the handles. Don't love this detail. Don't love this detail. So we're gonna completely change the door fronts and the handles and then paint this guy. And it's gonna look totally different when we're done. We started off our demo by removing the glass doors and all of the hardware, as well as the handles off all the old drawers. We decided that we didn't want the doors to be separated in the middle, so we also removed all the edging pieces and the middle piece from the cabinet so that we could create our own doors to replace them. This cabinet was actually solid wood, and the drawers were still in really good shape, so we wanted to use them, but they all had a bit of overhang that we needed to cut off. So we used the table saw for that so that we could build our own drawer fronts after. And finally, this cabinet is just slightly too tall for our space, so we took the bottom piece off as well so that we can shorten it a little bit after.
Okay, so we got the cabinet all torn apart. So there used to be a plate here, a plate in the middle, so I got those off. They were just nailed with a little bit of glue in, so it actually came off really nice. Now we're getting ready to do the doors. I'm gonna get the doors laid out and built, and then once the doors are built, we can settle our drawer faces. The new drawer faces are just gonna be square stock. I think we might put a chamfer on, like he was talking about. And then we can set them with the right gap on the top and bottom with everything so that it all looks the same. But it's the first step is to get these drawers built, which I just have, I think this is 1x4. Yeah, that I'm gonna build the frames out of. So pretty easy. Yeah.
Yep. On a scale of 1 to 10, how mad at me are you right now?
You can make your own doors.
I need a number.
10 being I quit.
I divorce you. 1 being like, you're perfect. I can never.
You're not a 1. I can tell you that much right now. Let's leave it at that. Not a 1.
So a 2. Settling on 2.
We'll go with 2.
Okay guys, I came into the shop tonight. Russell asked for some advice on a couple of things related to our cabinet DIY, and I have some thoughts that are causing a little bit of change and a little bit of tension in here tonight.
Little bit of change.
Little bit of change. So I'm gonna show you what it is that I'm looking at and thinking about changing, and then we're gonna see how mad Russell is at me. I came out to the shop tonight to see how the doors were. Russell.
Ruin my life.
What was that?
Ruin my life.
I ruined his life because these are the doors we had, and I was just looking at them feeling like they were too wide. Like I was not happy with the look.
Did you ask about who else is not happy afterwards?
I was not happy with the look. And I said, is there anything we can do to fit it out? And he said no to me about 12 times before he admitted that there was something he could do.
At the risk of ruining.
At the risk, we did risk ruining the doors, but We were able to thin one down and it still works and it's much sleeker. Look at the difference between them. Same. Like it's half the width.
It's not half.
Almost. But it looks completely different. Like this looks much cleaner. This stuck out like a sore thumb. And I'm just so much more happier. So much happier with this. So now we have to thin down all of the drawer and door faces.
These just go through the planer. These ones have to run through the table saw or the door. At least one of us is happy.
I'm happy. It's gonna look better. Worth it. So hopefully you don't have to do this, but if you do have to thin out your drawer fronts or doors, one way to do that is to slide pieces through a planer, and the second way is to turn up your table saw blade and run it through the table saw. You can see sparks fly when we do this one because we were hitting some of the hardware, but it worked. And then of course you'll have to re-sand everything, which Russell thought would be a great job for me since this was my suggestion in the first place. For the hinges on all the cabinets, we actually used a Craig cabinet hinge jig, which is super easy to use. I will link it in the description below because we're not going to go into detail on it here, but the jig does all the hard work for you and makes adding hinges easy. The final step in rebuilding this cabinet was to put a little bit of a radius on the top of the drawer fronts. The reason I did this was to mimic the kind of waterfall curved edge at the top of the cabinet. You could use a sander or something for this, but we used our router table, which was quick and easy, and I really think little details like this make all the difference. When we were ready to add all the drawer fronts on, we used our spacers that we had previously measured to make sure our spacing was consistent throughout. And then we put construction adhesive on the old door fronts and nailed the new panels in place. We had a couple of spots where the wood bowed out a little bit, so we also decided to clamp everything overnight while the glue set to make sure it was all straight and flush. When everything was done, we primed our entire cabinet with our paint sprayer. When the primer was dry, we had a few little runs that we had to clean up with a scraper and some sandpaper, and then we were ready to paint. I chose this beautiful creamy beige color for the cabinet. Right now it looks a little peach here, but when all the paint dries, you'll be able to see the true color. Once the paint had dried, we were able to add the hardware back on and mount the doors. And once we knew everything was positioned correctly, we took the doors off again so we could start my favorite part, which was putting on the caning. Item number one is this caning. I got it from an Etsy shop. I can link the Etsy shop here for you if you want, because it's not super easy to come across this stuff where I live in Canada, but I bought some that's, it's just over 16 inches wide, which is what we need for our opening. So it should work in that space, but I think it's gonna be a really beautiful addition to the cabinet. So this is going to replace the glass and be 2 panels in the front. The other thing I got is these. They look super shiny under the light. This is, okay, this is more the real tone, not with direct light on it. So these brass handles I got as well. And I think they're all gonna go really well together, hopefully. We started by cutting our caning or rattan down to size so that it would fit perfectly in the space. We just used a regular pair of scissors and it cut down really easily. Then we had to decide which side of the caning to use. One side has a more finished look. It has a bit of a sheen to it, and I know that that is meant to be the part outward, but the other side just looked so good with the color of our cabinets, so we actually decided to flip the caning over and use the other side. Next, we stapled it all in place, but I'm going to tell you guys, I was not happy with the finished look of this because the caning was just too loose after the installation, and I'll show you what we did to fix this the second time around. Hey guys, so this is our cabinet. It looks honestly amazing. We're so happy with it, but we're not super happy with the caning job we did. So the caning itself, it went on well, it's stapled on nicely, but you can kind of see there's a lot of play in it. This was our first time using caning, so we weren't 100% sure what to do, but I definitely was not happy with the finish. So what we found out is that you can soak the caning first, which will help all the material expand. And then when you attach it, it will kind of shrink or tighten up, and that should keep a nice tight finish. So we're actually gonna come in, take all these staples off again, and try to reapply the caning. So hopefully it gives a tighter, nicer finish. So we brought over the side cutters and removed all of the staples from the caning pieces we had in the door so that we could remove the rattan and soak it. We just filled up our bathtub with some lukewarm water, put the pieces of caning in, and then put something to weigh it down and soaked it for about 45 minutes. When we picked up the caning, it was definitely soaked in, and the caning itself was much more pliable and flexible, so we were ready to try and reinstall those on our cabinet doors. This time when we installed the caning, we did the same thing, trying to pull it a little bit tight and using our stapler to secure it in place. Here you want to be careful because if you don't pull it tight enough, it can still end up being loose. And if you pull it too tight, it can actually end up warping your cabinets or your boards. So you just want to make sure it's tight enough that it holds strong and has room to shrink. Even though you don't often see the inside of the cabinet doors, I also didn't like seeing all of the frayed edges. It just kind of looked unfinished to me. So we actually bought some basket reed and I hot glued it onto the inside of the cabinet doors. That way it just covered any of the frayed edges and gave everything a really professionally finished look. And that's it. Here is what our finished cabinet looks like. It looks nothing like the before cabinet, and I'm so happy with how it turned out. What did you guys think of that flip? I honestly love this piece. I will probably keep it forever. I'm so happy with how it turned out. If you like this project, please give it a thumbs up. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and let us know if you want to see some more furniture flips. And as always, hit the bell so you can be notified of more great DIY and home renovation videos. Thanks for watching.